Hey guys, and welcome to a replay commentary about the new hero. We're talking about Whitemane, who has just hit the servers on Wednesday, and I've been playing her a bit. I don't want to say I played crazy amount of games with her, but I really enjoy her, and I think she's a great hero. Like I think she's like a super cool kit, and it just feels like amazing to play her, in my opinion. Like she's really fun. We're gonna watch this replay. It's on Infernal Shrines. And this is a quick match, but it had a cool composition. Like both teams had tank and healer. Well, you know, they have Blaze and we have Diablo, but overall I felt this was pretty cool to show off Whitemane and also how I play her currently. Please keep in mind that obviously this is a very first impression like video, so while I have strategized a lot about Whitemane and played her quite a bit, doesn't mean that the way that I'm playing her or how I'm playing her is the best way. Her Q build at the moment has the highest win rate on Hotstalks, so that's what people are playing. I tend to play a little bit of a different build, and so far it has been treating me pretty well. So on level 1 I'm gonna go for Clemency. The reason for this is that it has great synergy with pretty much every other talent that you take from 13 on. And the most important thing is that it reduces the cooldown of Inquisition by 3 seconds. So this will help me later on to hit more roots and then also hit more enemies more often from 16 on. Martyrdom is also a very good talent. I've played with this quite a bit as well on level 1. I think the heal increase can help you quite a bit in the early game, where she feels a little sluggish sometimes in the healing output. But again, Clemency for me is the go-to talent at the moment, because you just want to have Inquisition up more often for later purposes, but it also allows you to heal out of combat without or for no mana, which is important to say the least. We did some testing before the video. I had a longer stream about her. So Clemency and Inquisition basically do the same damage, the same amount of healing if you have Zeal on an enemy. Holy moly. Zeal on an ally and use Inquisition on an enemy. There you go. So if you use your Q on an ally and then use Inquisition, your W, on an enemy, the healing amount is pretty much the same if you get the full channel off. Obviously, enemies might be running away from you. So early game, the channel on your allies might actually be better, because you just can secure the healing here. In replay files, you can see the debuff of the Desperation, this mana increase. So you can't really see it how I manage my Qs. But generally speaking, from level 4 on, where I take Unwavering Faith, I normally double Q heal everybody. So whenever I heal somebody with a Q, I normally use 2. The first Q is free because of the talent. It reduces the mana cost by 30 of Desperate Plea, which means the first Q is free because the mana cost is 30, and then the second Q is 60 mana. So you basically have 2 heals for about 176 at level 5 here for 60 mana. That's pretty good. 300 health restores quite a bit of health, but also is pretty mana conserving. That means that you will see that I heal somebody twice, or heal 2 targets twice, and then don't use Q for a while to not have the third stack of Desperation happening to me. Here I should have used W earlier, but I wanted to make sure that I'm in a good position to get away. I was a little worried that the Blaze might be attacking me. This is also important. Use your auto attacks on Whitemane. It's similar to Oriel, where you need to do some damage as well. And she's very squishy. As you can see, she only has 1800 HP at level 6. That's very squishy. So if you get caught, you are normally dead. Which leads me to my point. I want to pause the video here before we go into the team fight. Why I like Unwavering Faith on level 4. So this, again, reduces the mana cost of Desperate Plea. But once you use Plea 3 times without letting the Desperation debuff drop, you also get a shield for 5 seconds. And this is, I think, very important on Whitemane, because she is so squishy that people will definitely dive her, I think, in competitive play. Which means that if you have like a panic button, basically, which is 3 times your Q, I think that's pretty good because you literally have the heal throughput of your Q, but then also once you hit the Q limit of 3, or not limit, but when you have 3 debuffs, you also get a shield. That means you don't have to necessarily heal again with the 3rd debuff up. That means you don't need to spend that much mana on the 4th Q that you're casting on yourself. I think this is really good. We've tested it around a little bit. I played around with a couple of talents. I feel like this gives me a cool way to survive. High Inquisitor on 4 is also what people go for when they have Clemency. Just for the simple reason that you can basically get 30 mana off every plea cast. So you cast plea once, it costs 30 mana. You get 1 stack. If you use Desperation, if you use Inquisition or Clemency, you restore 60 mana. That means you spend 30 mana and you get 30 mana back. And then if you continue to go forward, you will get 120 mana for 2 stacks. And the second stack of Desperate Plea costs you 90 mana. So you always get a little bit of mana back. Obviously, if you have higher stacks, you get a little bit more mana back. And this also seems to be scaling. So the mana is increasing on your mana pool or on your level. So I like the Unwavering Faith just for my own sakes, but if you are worried about your teammates dying, High Inquisitor might be the better talent because it allows you to have more burst heal. Because you could literally triple Q Inquisition, triple Q because you have the mana for that then. That means this is something that you should be just thinking about. On level 7, Fanatical Power gives you spell power, but also removes or lowers your armor. That means you're a little bit more vulnerable. In this game, I just wanted to test around if it was good. And I think it has its value, especially later on when you do more damage to your enemies on level 16, because you hit multiple heroes with Inquisition. Fanatical Power can be a huge heal and damage tool. Intercession is basically a cleanse. That means that you can use it as a means to get people out of stuns and roots and slows. It also is 1 second of unstoppable. That means you can pre-cleanse things as well, but it has to be pretty precise. Zealous Spirit for the Q build I think is very, very good because with the Unwavering Faith you always double Q when you heal. So with double Q you always trigger Zeal on yourself if you heal 3 times. If you heal 2 times, because you get 1 stack immediately when you use your Q, and then for the second Q you get 2 stacks of Desperation. That means once you double heal somebody, you also have Zeal, which means the next damage that you do also heals you. This can be very, very good as well, and has one of the highest win rates on this tier, actually. Funnily enough, Intercession I think has the highest win rate. But we talked about this in the stream. If you don't know how to use Cleanse, you should probably learn it. But if you feel very, very uncomfortable with using Cleanse because your mechanics aren't that good, there's no reason for you to be afraid of using other talents. And again, on this tier on Whitemane, they're all competitive. If you go Q build, Zealous Spirit is really good, and Fanatical Power is also a big help in healing because you can, as you can see here, trigger it and then heal somebody. It doesn't have to be only used to do more damage. We're now overstaying here, so I'm gonna just talk over us making mistakes. Scarlet Aegis and Divine Reckoning are both very viable heroics. I personally think Aegis is much stronger at the moment for the simple reason that it has such a short cooldown. It's 60 seconds, which is basically nothing. It is up every team fight. And it also is another heal. And the most important thing is like 40 armor is a lot. Like it just reduces a lot of the damage that people get. I still can't believe that we stayed so long there that they caught up to us. And actually I will die here as well because I try to save my teammates, which will not help. There you go. Divine Reckoning has 100 seconds, so it's 40 seconds longer. It's one of the longest cooldowns on heroics. It's only like 100 and 120 are the two cooldowns that are longer than anything else. Like I think 100 is probably already a cooldown that you really need to know how to use and when to use it, and that can be quite difficult. It's really good though, because once you get to a point where you can use it in a good way, for example on the altars here, or in the shrines, sorry, it can be very powerful because you basically put Q on somebody, put the damage down, and then put Q on another 2 people or so, and they all get healed from the damage that it does. And that's really something that you can effectively use if you know how to position yourself and position it. That being said, it's... Oops, sorry, that's my mistake. I wanted to open the talents again. I'm gonna skip through this. Is it actually going back all the way? No, there you go. Speed it up a little bit. Here you go. So, Scarlet Aegis, because it heals, it triggers Zeal on everybody that you hit with it. That means you can get like 5 Zeals on your teammates and yourself, which makes everything easier to heal, because your Inquisition then heals everybody. If you do auto attacks, it heals everybody. If you hit your E, it heals everybody. So it not only has a shorter cooldown and gives armor, but also enables you to have Zeal on everybody, which makes it, just at the moment, I think, better. But there will be situations where you need the damage, or it's an easy way to safely do damage and therefore enable your teammates to stay in fights longer. Here you can see how strong the Aegis is though. Like, Illidan is in us, everybody has armor, he can't do anything to us, he doesn't do any damage, 40% reduced damage, and it just gives you a lot of ways to help your team. Here you saw the shield for a bit. I used 3 heals on me because I was worried, and now I'm gonna heal the Alarak with the W. Well, it's the 1. But Clemency, the 11 seconds is so good to out of combat heal without spending mana. So just keep that in mind. Like, you should always try to get Inquisition off on enemy heroes, because if you have several targets with Zeal and you hit a hero with Inquisition, all of the targets will be healed. If you only use Clemency, only then 1 target will be healed. So your preference, your priority should always be use Inquisition on a hero. So now we're in level 13, and that's where it gets interesting on Whitemane, and I'm going to pause it real quick just to explain this tier. So there's a couple of things that you need to know. Self-righteousness, I think, is pretty okay, because it also gives you that survivability. So I think if you go Q build because you're worried about yourself, I think that's very fair. You have higher healing output from level 1 on, so you can keep yourself alive better. You get a shield here on 4 that keeps you alive better. And then you can have here Zealous Spirit, which gives you Zeal, which again enables you to heal yourself even further. And then on 13, you always get healed if you use Desperate Plea on somebody else. So you then, at this point, probably don't need to heal yourself with Desperate Plea unless it really, is a situation where you're out of position and, they target you down, basically. So this is really good because you basically don't need to look after yourself that much. You just heal yourself with the Q. So this is actually very, very viable. Harsh Discipline is what you will see everybody go for, especially in the competitive Heroes of the Storm leagues like an HEC and Open Division. I think this will be the go-to talent for every Whitemane that we will see. This allows you to root enemies for 1.5 seconds. So whenever you hit somebody with your Searing Lash, which is your E, and then while they're hit or while they're in the zone of the E, you can use your Inquisition to root them. It's similar to the Stukov situation where I think it's on the same talent tier as well. If you hit somebody with a pustule and then put the arm below them, the lurking arm below them, and then detonate the pustule, they will be rooted in the silence. In this case, they don't get rooted in the silence because there's no silence, but you still root them for 1.5 seconds. And 1.5 seconds is a long time, and this also enables you to be a setup support. And these supports are stronger than any other supports at the moment in the competitive scene. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the best that you could be doing. Like Lily is one of the most popular and successful heroes in lower leagues because she's just good. Like she has good heal throughput, but she doesn't do anything to set up kills that much. Like she has a slow, but that's not hugely impactful. But Harsh Discipline allows you to be a setup healer, basically, where you, if you hit a target, you root it, you give your teammates the clear direction this target can be attacked now because they're rooted, they can't move away. It also sets up other CC, so basically, for example, if Murden hits a Stormbolt, you can follow up with your E and W. On top of that, she has Guiding Light, which gives you your teammates 20% movement speed for 2 seconds whenever Zeal is applied. It doesn't work on you yourself though, so it doesn't really save you, but it definitely is something that can be powerful. I think it has a pretty high win rate, but a very low pick rate at the moment. But if you look at Karazim, for example, he has also, I think it's called Radiant Dash or something, or Speed of Lightning on 13 or something like this, where his Q, his dash, basically speeds up allies and himself a little bit more. And it definitely can help people escape. So this is also, I think, pretty competitive. That being said, Harsh Discipline will be taken by everybody who is, a little bit more serious about their heroic experience. Okay, let's move on. In this game, we're pretty even now. After we threw so heavily at level 10. And my team is doing everything pretty well, so I don't have to support them that much. Again, using Clemency here. This is the advantage of Clemency over the Q build. You just don't have to use mana on everything. Obviously, you want to spend mana. It's good that you spend mana and heal everybody. But it's also that you have the option to not spend mana. And the healing is actually pretty decent in both situations. And again, if you only have one target to heal, like now I should be using Clemency right now on Lunara. There's no reason for me to not use it. I think I might be using a reading chat here at the moment or something like that because I'm not healing anybody. Important about the Inquisition though is also that it roots you. Clemency and Inquisition both require you to channel the spell. That means that if you move just a little bit, like if you right click somewhere, you will cancel it. And that's something that you will have to get used to. I have several situations where I just cancel my Inquisition or my Clemency because I walk around. Again, this is the Aegis. Allows us to make sure that the Illidan doesn't do too much damage to my allies. And now I'm trying to find a route here, but I don't get it. And it is quite a tricky combo because your E has a little bit of a higher range than your W. It's very marginal, but if you fire your E too early, you're not going to be in range for your W to hit. So you probably want to, try this out in try mode to learn the range for both spells. This time I'm going to be very vehement of trying to get away from here, and Stukov gives us the signal that we should be. And again, I try here to root somebody. That's more like, not really to kill anybody, that was more like to train the combo, because mechanically I'm not a very good player, so I need a lot of repetitions to learn things. Again, Aegis comes out. And now you will see the shield again. 1, 2, 3, here's the shield. And I even heal myself another time. But now I'm pretty much out of mana. I personally really like this build. Again, it's very early in the hero's life cycle and everything. And I'm not like Grandmaster player, so obviously take my advice always with that perspective. But I personally think that the shield just gives you survivability that you normally wouldn't have. Okay, and we saw level 16 in action here. So this is why Clemency again is such a good talent, because you have it up more often and can do more things. So level 16, you have again 3 talents. I think only 2 of them are very much competitive. I think Lashing Out is the weakest. So Searing Lash Second Strike deals 25% more damage and reduces the cooldown for 1 second. Sorry, to 1 second if it hits a hero. So let's move forward, because I don't want to necessarily listen to that silence noise. There you go. This means if you hit your E on a tank, on a hero, and the second time it crosses and it hits a hero, the cooldown is set to 1 second. That being said, this doesn't do a lot of things. It does some damage, for sure. And with the level 13 talent of Harsh Discipline, you can root people. That being said, Harsh Discipline, or the combo of rooting somebody, is not dependent on the E being up. It's actually Inquisition, because Inquisition still has 11 seconds cooldown with the talent on level 1 of Clemency. That means if you miss your combo, or if you already rooted somebody, it's awesome that you have your E up again, but you can't do anything with it except damage. And the damage isn't that high. So I think at the moment, Lashing Out is probably not very competitive. I can see it working maybe in situations where maybe it's like Braxis or something, where you always have like 4 versus 4 fights or 5 versus 5 fights later on. Because if you hit several heroes with this and you have like a 1 second cooldown on your E and you can just spam it, it's a lot of damage still. But Shared Punishment is probably what everybody's going for, and the Q-Build Radiance is also very good. Let's talk about Shared Punishment first, because we saw it there briefly. So Inquisition can chain to an additional enemy hero near its target, dealing 66 damage every 0.5 seconds. So it's a little bit less damage than the original Inquisition, but again, you heal for 100% of the damage via Zeal, right? So even if it's only a little bit of a damage increase, it is an increase in healing for you as well. On top of that, it works with Clemency. So for example, in this situation, if I use Clemency on the Diablo, it will jump over. Actually, let's see if I do it. Yeah, no, I actually don't do it. I use W on the Stukov, which is fine. But Clemency also allows you to heal somebody, and then if an enemy is behind that person, they would actually get Inquisition damage. That means, again, you increase your healing, but it also allows you to immediately directly heal an ally that is running away from you. On top of that, this works super well with the Harsh Discipline. And I'm gonna go back for a little bit, because I can show you exactly what I mean with this. So I think I have to go back a little bit more. Let's see. Let's close this. So she's dead. And I think I can do it here. There you go. So there's the E coming up. And now you can see already what's happening here. So the E is below the Rainer and the Stukov. And my W is going out, my Inquisition is going out. You can see it hitting Rainer, and you see the laser beam going on further on Stukov. And now see who gets rooted. There you go. Both of them get rooted. So Harsh Punishment, Shared Punishment also allows you to root several heroes. So if, for example, the Blaze would be closer, it could have hit him as well, because he's in my square E. Keep in mind, I made the mistake and thought that it can chain to multiple heroes, but it can only be one hero. So it's not like you can, chain 5 enemy heroes because they're all standing in your E. It is quote unquote, well, only 2 only. But as you can see, this is a huge impact. Like, they don't stand that far from each other, but getting 2 roots off can enable you to either like get a good fight or a better fight, or it allows you to just continually root somebody that was just like trying to protect their teammate or something like that. Like, just imagine you have, for example, a tank trying to like block a hook from Stitches, and then you just use your Inquisition on the Stitches and on the person that is trying to block the hook, and you get the soft target behind the tank rooted because you're using the Shared Punishment. So yeah, I think this is pretty much set in stone for the competitive meta. We will see shared punishment and harsh discipline here most of the time. For the Q build, Radiance is an amazing burst heal. So everybody who has Zeal on them is healed for 375 upon reaching 3 stacks of Desperation. That means, for example, you can go Aegis, heal everybody, like heal 5 people, everybody has Zeal on them, one person is low and everybody else is a little bit low. You heal that person with Desperate Plea 3 times, they are pretty much safe because they got healed 3 times by you. And everybody else gets also a huge heal, plus that person that you were healing gets another heal. So this is honestly also a great talent. Again, especially if you have Q build, this will help you a lot. Radiance will help you a lot late game to change team fights. The thing is, with the 3 stacks, I personally had trouble committing to 3 stacks of the Q build. Because I always felt that I was wasting mana so much. But if you like get comfortable with it, I think it can be game changing. Honestly, like it reminds me very much of Lucio when he gets to level 20 and you can like do a bonus track, so everybody gets healed massively. I feel like this can be the same, right? And the important thing about this is, it is PvE, like you don't have to heal anybody with your damage. So like just imagine you go Aegis, triple Q, Divine Key, heals everybody for that amount of damage, and then you still have Inquisition up, and you can still do damage to everybody, and they still have Zeal, because Zeal stays on for 8 seconds. So the combo is really, really strong. On the competitive side with the shared punishment, this also goes on further at level 20, and we're going to talk about that once we get there. If you look at the win rate of Whitemane, late game is definitely where she shines. Her early win rates are okay, like her early talent win rates, and her wins over time are okay. But she really scales very, very heavily into the late game. She gets very strong at that point and makes a lot of things more easy for your team. I'm currently looking for like a root target, but now I'm afraid that my Lunara is dying. So as you can see, Inquisition used, it hits 2 targets and she gets healed by quite a bit. Unfortunately for me, I don't get to live because I'm doing things, and I now see that Genji isn't here. So my positioning was pretty bad, because I should know that Genji isn't there for us. Like, he's not on the map. Sorry, he's on the map and he's not with us. So my positioning is pretty bad because I overcommit to saving somebody and then I'm out of position myself. And you saw how squishy I am. I didn't get my 3 Qs off on me or anybody else, so I didn't get my shield and didn't survive. Or even if I got my shield, I just got still pretty much destroyed very quickly. Looking at stats, you can see that I'm out healing the Stukov, but we're also winning pretty handily at the moment. Until now, we had the game under control, so it's very easy to say like, well, I'm out healing him because we're basically just always a couple of levels up, or we're at least you know, getting kills where they don't get killed. So if you survive a team fight, obviously you have the chance to heal up your teammates. I was worried about Lunara because she was so low that Blaze probably could have sneezed on her to kill her. And here again you see Clemency and double Q pretty much heals her full. So it's a fun mechanic, and it's also just like the hero is just fun to play. Whitemane is fun to play to have some mechanics on your healers instead of just only healing. Again, this is the root that I was talking about, and if you checked correctly and if your eyes are on Raynor that is rooted, you will see that he's shrinking. Let's have a look at this again. So I'm looking for the root. I see Raynor here. I place my E. Here he comes. And immediately cast my W. And as you can see, both Stukov and Raynor are shrinking. And you're like, what the fuck is this? I said the F word, I'm sorry. And this is Subjugation, a level 20 talent, which I think will also be meta for most, or not meta, but heavily picked talent. Subjugation gives you basically a debuff for your enemies, and it's similar to some of the level 13 talents that we have on Tassadar, for example, or on Alexstrasza, who has Pacify. Subjugation gives you a debuff that reduces the damage of an enemy by 75%. This is the highest that exists in the game. 75% is the highest damage reduction that exists. I think Leoric's level 16 or level 13 talent is like 40% or something like that. But nobody has 75. And 75% is a lot. Like, you only do 15% of your damage. So if you think about like Pyroblast or anything that is like a high damage spell, this will basically do nothing or only very little if you have subjugation on people. And this leads again to shared punishment. You can see the Stukov also gets the shared punishment of getting subjugated, and therefore his damage is removed. Obviously, you can't really control this very much. Like, it depends on what's happening. Like, this is only a nice benefit. It doesn't mean it's huge necessarily. That being said, just imagine you have like a Sonya and a Genji diving you into the backline or something, and you get the chance to hit both of them. They do 75% less damage. It's easier for everybody to not panic around them. So you can see, for example, you would do Genji Sonya jump in, and then you subjugate them with Inquisition. And once that is off cooldown, you use Aegis, and then everybody has armor. So you can basically do a couple of things that are really strong in defending your teammates. Another root on the Illidan. And then I'm worried about the Rainer copy, so I'm just using Aegis. You can see that she has a lot of buttons already. So there's like a 1 button, there's a 2 button. I could have got the different 2 button as well with the cleanse. And then on level 20 you also have a couple of other talents that you can use, and one of them is Purge the Wicked. And you might have seen the Whitemane combo video where she does like 6,500 damage or something. Purge the Wicked basically is another spell that you can cast. It does damage and also reduces armor. So this is where people get a lot of those combos where it's pretty fun. So here you will see what Whitemane can't do that well, and it's kind of like healing multiple people if there's no heroes of the enemy team there. So everybody is pretty low, and I'm trying to heal everybody up, but I'm also trying to conserve mana because I'm a little worried that Illidan is returning. So you can see we're doing things, and I miss actually the Lunara here, and I can't heal her. So there's that. I also don't use my spell power because I'm a little worried that the Illidan will just kill me. So running. And again, the Genji is not with us, so we should have seen that earlier. Without him, it's difficult for us to finish core against what they had. Like, they had still had Stukov and Blaze up, so we couldn't deal with the core. That being said, she definitely struggles to multi-target heal people when there's no team fight going on. In the team fight, I think her multi-target healing is actually insane. If you can get a good Inquisition off, if you have Zeal on a couple of heroes, you do a lot of healing. Her numbers look incredible at some points where you feel like you don't do anything, but you actually do a lot. So here I'm just wanting to not do anything because I'm worried. And now I again hit the root, and now I'm a little worried because everybody is low. I use the Aegis again. And then our Alarak gets a kill on the Blaze. And again, this is where Clemency is really good in these short skirmishes where the enemy then falls back. It gives you just another heal where you, again, don't use mana. And I know that I've harped on this quite a bit, but for some reason I'm super worried about Whitemane's mana, which just makes me feel easier when I have another tool in my box that I can use. We're now pretty much deep in the late game, and just show you alternatives that everybody else has if you're interested. I'm going to have a quick look at the talents, sorry, at the stats. As you can see, I'm out healing now the Stukov by quite a bit. That being said, he also died 5 times, so it's easier for me because I've been alive for longer, and especially late game, if you're dead for like 60 seconds, obviously your HPS will drop significantly against somebody who has been alive throughout the game. Downsides of Whitemane, her wave clear is garbage. Like, she is dumpster tier. I think she's probably one of the worst supports on duty for killing minions. Her auto attacks are okay, but her E does only very little to minions. It's not very strong. On top of that, she's very, very squishy, so she definitely needs good positioning. So you want to make sure that you always position yourself well. In this case, I'm not very well positioned, which is why I'm going to die here, I think. Even with the shield. The dual Illidan is actually causing us to die. That being said, I kept the team alive quite a bit. She requires also quite a bit of mechanical understanding of your hero. You probably can't just jump in on her level 1 first game and understand completely how Whitemane works and how to heal and do things. I think you will need quite a bit of games to actually like understand the mechanics and everything. And you have a lot of things to keep in mind. Like, you want to know who has Zeal. You want to know how many stacks of Desperation you have. You want to know if Clemency is up, if there's a target in range for Inquisition. So there's a lot of things that you need to do to be good at the hero. But I think that makes her a very fun support, because I actually heavily disliked the Malfurion rework because I thought he was too busy. And funnily enough, Whitemane, I feel like she's even busier, but it's more fun. The big difference for me is that I don't have to hit enemy heroes to heal. There's other tools that I can use. There's Clemency, and there's also like just desperate plea builds if you don't want to, you know, be so dependent on Inquisition. Overall though, I think she's going to be a pretty good support. She's definitely has the tools to main heal. She doesn't need a second healer. I've seen concerns from PTR where people thought she might need a second healer to be viable in all situations. I think you probably don't want to put her against heavy dive. Like if your enemy team drafts like Tyrael, Butcher, I don't know, Genji, something else like Karazim, like everybody just jumps on Whitemane, I think that's probably not where you want to draft her. But I also wouldn't be afraid to first pick her. In terms of damage, she definitely has those combos where she uses fanatical power on herself to like secure damage. And again, root into the apocalypse. I'm now a little bit out of position here because the Illidan can see me, but my team is actually doing pretty well and I survive. Like the mage build of her where you go like weird things. I think you go Righteous Flame. Level 4 doesn't really matter. Then you go Fanatical Power. You go Harsh Discipline. You go Lashing Out probably here. Or Share Punishment, doesn't really matter. And then you go like Purge the Wicked. Sure, it sounds cool on paper, and like, I mean, there is that video of her doing so much damage. But realistically, I don't think she's a good damage dealer. I think she is just what it is. She's a support who can, with the perfect timing on things, do a lot of damage. And again, this time you can see where she just struggles is when she has multiple multiple allies around her that are low, and no enemies to do like multiple damages to, like where you can have your acquisition jump off, where you can hit multiple enemies with an E, where you can do like auto tags. If you can't do that, she struggles a little bit healing multiple targets, but that's okay. I think we have other healers that can do that much better, like a Lucio, for example. That's it. We're at the end of the game. We're going to look at stats again one more time. Your siege damage will be abysmal. Like I think 20,000 actually is pretty high already, but we are also 26 minutes in. Don't be upset about this. You're not good at this. That also means that if your team decides to not soak bottom lane, it probably isn't worth going there with Whitemane. She's really bad at clearing waves. It takes ages. And you're much better off with somebody else because you do more damage to heroes and you keep everybody else alive. So you probably don't want to have her on XP soaking duty. The hero damage for me is very low. I think you can do more damage with her. I think you should be doing more damage with her. But again, it's one of my first games here that I've played, so I have to get better with her for sure. Her healing output, as you can see, is amazing. Again, you oftentimes will feel like you're not doing enough, and then look at the numbers and you're like, how did I do this? And that's normal. She is, again, a hero that is very difficult to play, and you will need some time to get used to it, I think. That's at least my opinion. And in the end, it's not important that, like, the numbers and stats are not important. The important thing is if you have fun with the hero and if you think you can keep your teammates alive. And I think both of these tasks, if you want to call them like this, are given. She's super fun to play. I really enjoy her. And I think her healing output is pretty amazing as well. Yeah, it's going to go quickly over the talents again, just to show you my build. Again, I'm pretty sure nobody else plays it like this in competitive, especially the level 4. I'm not sure if anybody else plays this, but I've had a couple of games with her where I just lost. Not only because of talents and whatever, but where I was trying different things. And Unwavering Faith just gave me more confidence in my own survival. So this is what I'm playing. Clemency on level 1, Unwavering Faith on level 4. On level 7, you can go Fanatical Power, but you can also have Intercession if you need a cleanse. This is, again, 1 second unstoppable for a Stack of Desperation. This is actually very good. You can cleanse everything, and you can pre-cleanse things, so you can stop a hook or, for example, temporal loop. Malfurion, for example, with Nature's Cure can't stop the temporal loop, and the same goes for Lily. Lily can't temporal or save somebody from temporal loop with Let Go or whatever it's called. So this is also an ability that you can use. And again, Zealous Spirit is probably good if you want to go Q build, but I like Fanatical Power or Intercession. Don't use Fanatical Power if they have like a super dive comp. Like against Illidan, I should have probably not taken Fanatical Power, because if I put it on and he hunts me at that point, I'm just dead. So, you know, be wise about things. Again, Scarlet Aegis for me is probably the best heroic at the moment because of the cooldown. It's just 40 seconds less cooldown. You always have it up. It's similar to like old Phoenix, where from Kel'Thas, where like it had like 40-second cooldown and you would just like use it everywhere. I kind of feel the same way about Aegis. It's just good. Like you can use it on a boss when you're doing boss. Like when you wipe the enemy team and you didn't need to use Aegis, you can use it on boss to heal everybody up. You also give them Zeal. So, you know, there's definitely a couple of very good combos that you can pull off with this. And then 13-16, I think, is set for me with Harsh Discipline and Shared Punishment. I think I would need to see somebody do amazing things with the other talents on these tiers to change this. I also think this is much easier to execute than the Stukov route. So this is, for me, just also something that is fun, because having an impact like this where you root an enemy and then they get killed by your team because you set it up just feels amazing. Level 20 has, I think, a lot of viable talents. If we look at it, can we do it like this? Yes, awesome. So Scarlet Crusade, again, the Aegis heals for 50% more, which is another 300 on level 20, I think, which is great. And then it also affects, or affected allies also get unstoppable for 1 second, which means, for example, you can use it as a cleanse. So Warden's Cage, you know, Maiev pulls and everything. You can negate a lot of these things with this. And especially late game, obviously, stuns are very impactful. So I think this will give you a good way to negate a couple of things. Judgment Day is super fun. If you haven't seen this, it's literally like S of Joanne from Li Ming back in when she came out. It just pulls everybody together. It's like a Zarya Graviton bomb. Super, super fun. It deals 50% more damage. I definitely, just like for the fun of it, you should talent this on your first couple of goes with the hero. Super cool. It just, again, pulls everybody together, makes it also easier to pull off this combo where you can root like 2 people. You just basically use Divine Reckoning on 2 people. They get pulled together. You have an easier time hitting E and W on them. It's really cool. It's just very fun. I don't think it's very competitive if you look at the other talents that are on here, but I mean, again, it's just also displacement, which can be very powerful. Subjugation will probably be the go-to talent for competitive Heroes of the Storm. 75% less damage to up to 2 targets is incredible. Like, there's so many things you can do with this, and your W has quite a bit of range, so you can definitely use it on targets that are a little bit further in the back. Again, this will immediately stop when Inquisition stops. That means that you have to stand still to have this actually happen, so we'll see how this goes. Purge the Wicked outside of the Wombo combo, I'm not 100% sold on this. I think it will probably have its space in the professional Heroes of the Storm meta, because negating 25% armor or 25 armor and dealing 740 damage over time seems like very strong as well. And it can set up things like, imagine you root somebody with your EW combo and then purge the Wicked on them and they get stunned, or somebody else follows up. There's definitely a lot of things that you can do with it. I think if you're winning, this is a win more talent as well. Like if you are 20 versus 18 on Volskaya, for example, I think this can just secure you the 1 kill that you need to go for core. So definitely also competitive, I want to say. Yeah, that's it pretty much for Whitemane. Thank you very much for watching if you are watching until now. Again, I think she's incredibly fun. You should try her out. I don't think she's broken, so don't expect her to be like, you know, like you play with her and you have 80% win rate or whatever. But she definitely, once you get the hang of her, is going to make your games be fun and interesting to play. That's it for me. Again, thank you very much for watching and being with me. I hope you have a great Sunday and a great week. I will see you again soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.